Hi friends! Some of you have been asking me how I study Korean, and today I'm going to tell you exactly that. I'm going to tell you how I got to the pre-intermediate level and what resources I've been using and loving. You may have noticed that we are in a bit of a different environment, and that is because yesterday morning we found a little kitten and I wanted to be with him. And hopefully he can be our little assistant today. So yes, let's go find a shade and let's get started. Before we start, I think I should mention two things first. The first one is that everybody's different and everybody learns differently. So when you listen to advice or you see how other people study, don't just blindly imitate them. Try to see what things resonate with you and your lifestyle. Try them out for yourself and then see if you can add those ways to study yourself. The most important part of a learning method is that you enjoy it so that you can do it over time consistently and you achieve your goals that way. Otherwise, you're gonna get bored soon and not gonna achieve anything at all. So yeah, a method that you enjoy will get you results. And the second thing is that this is how I studied just to reach the pre-intermediate level. I don't study like this anymore, and this method was specially designed like that to get to here so that now I'm able to immerse and learn from my immersion. Because learning from immersion as a beginner is really hard. But now that I'm used to Korean as a language, I'm able to tell words apart from hearing the sounds. They are not blurred out into a long, never-ending word. And because I can also recognize patterns like grammar endings or particles that I wouldn't be able to recognize if I wasn't familiar with the grammar. Just to clarify, it's not that I did not immerse as a beginner, it's just that I learned grammar and vocabulary mostly from textbooks, as opposed to now that I learn mostly from immersion, so media and texts I consume online. I still use textbooks, just not as much. So the first thing I did was learning Hangul. And I did so with How to Study Korean Unit 0. They explain Hangul really well. And as a tip, I don't think you need to dwell too much on learning Hangul because when you are learning grammar or vocabulary, you're going to be reinforcing it. So yeah, don't spend too much time thinking on it. Just practice. You'll get really fast reading Hangul. Then I moved on to study grammar. Are you gonna help me? What? So for learning grammar, I use the Talk to Me in Korean grammar podcast. I would listen to them once, twice, or even thrice when I was commuting or at work. Obviously when I didn't need my attention for work. And yeah, they were great. After listening to them, then I took notes. And I also got the grammar books and workbooks as a gift. But if you are on a tight budget, I wouldn't recommend to purchase these because all the information you really need to learn grammar is already on the podcasts and PDFs. Instead, I would get something to learn vocabulary because the Talk to Me in Korean grammar lessons are a bit short on that part. I'm not saying these books are bad, they are great. And if you have the money, then of course, great investment, but I would get something like this. Now, unfortunately, I couldn't study with this because I got it a bit late and I already knew all the vocabulary was in here, I already checked, and I could only learn like a couple words from it. I would get something like this or something like the easy Korean readings or the real life conversations for beginners from Talk to Me in Korean as well. So what I used to learn vocabulary was a book called 6,000 words, 6,000, how was it called?
1 hour later.
6,000 essential Korean words. The good part about it is that it offers you like the most frequent words so that you learn the most common words first, but it doesn't have sample sentences, so you cannot see when a word is used. And Korean language is known for having a ton of words that have little small nuances, so small differences that tell two words that look really similar in meaning, but they are not. Also, a word came multiple meanings, so when I'm supposed to use one or the other, I don't know. In general, it's not a really good book. I would choose something like the Talk to Me in Korean one I saw you earlier. To learn vocabulary, I use Anki, and I've tried other flashcards apps like Quizlet or Memrise, but I don't like them as much as I do like Anki. Why? Because Anki includes space repetition, and if you don't know what space repetition is, it basically, Anki reminds you when you have to review a flashcard again just before you forget it, so that you don't review it too much or you don't review it too little. You have to review it just enough. So Anki does that for you. And then I also like Anki over Quizlet or Memrise because you can add as many fields as you want in a single flashcard. And I like to include in my flashcards not only the word and the meaning, but also sample sentences. Sometimes I don't even include the meaning of the word if I can get it from the sample sentence, so that I use Korean as much as I can. You can also include your own images, audio, I don't know, whatever you want. Let me know if you want a tutorial on Anki, because I know it can be a bit difficult to get into, but it's definitely worth it, I think. And then I went to the library and borrowed the vocabulary book I just told you about, and the Korean grammar in use, beginning to early intermediate, I think it's called. It's just the one that comes before this one, and that's yellow. And I would really recommend this one. Either borrow it or purchase it. It's a really good grammar book. The grammar explanations are a bit short, but I think that's good to remember them. Some of you have been asking me how I learn grammar, and what I do is that I go ahead, get the book, read one chapter, take notes, and in my notes I just write the most important information, and also I write the dialogues without translation, so that when I review it I just read the dialogues and see if I understand. Also, once I'm done with taking my notes, I make sure I use the grammar point when I'm talking to my language partners, when I'm writing in my journal, writing sample sentences, like my own sample sentences. I think it's really important to use the grammar point, to use the vocabulary you learn, so that it sticks in your memory. So that's how. And then the last part, I think, is the most fun one, and it is using the grammar and vocabulary you've learned in the 4 communicative skills. So speaking, reading, listening, and writing. Personally, I like journaling, I like talking to language partners, I like watching YouTube, K-dramas. It doesn't matter, just find something that you like and do it. This will really depend on you. Find something you enjoy watching, find someone you enjoy talking to. I will link in the description down below some of the YouTube channels or K-dramas that I've loved, so that you can use them as well if you want. So while I was editing, I realized that it seems as if my journey was linear, and like all the activities I did were in chronological order, but they were not. Language learning is more like this intertwined journey where you go from grammar to vocabulary to watching something in your target language to, I don't know, talking to a language partner, to grammar again, to talking again. You get the point. If you liked today's video, please like and subscribe, and also join the Instagram community. I often post there useful info and fun quizzes that you can do to learn Korean, like this one I did not long ago on Kill Me Heal Me, the K-drama. See you next week, and until then, stay brilliant and keep learning. Bye. Say bye. 안녕. 안녕. 안녕.